why are you giving me this weird girls reel for this thing that's not, this is so inappropriate. Like one of two things is going to happen. We hope it's the first thing. And if it's not the second thing, like I don't want the job anyway. I don't want your job anyway. I want the one that is where I make people laugh. So I think it was just like, don't give anybody a choice.
Welcome to the Funny in Failure podcast, a podcast that celebrates failure and shines the light on the emotional side of comedy and life with yours truly, Michael Kahan. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Episode 350. That's crazy. Very exciting. The podcast is the gift that keeps on giving. It brings me so much joy. And honestly, I don't quite have the words to express how grateful I am. Thank you to my amazing audience for listening, engaging, and supporting the podcast over the years. And of course, thank you to my incredible guests who continue to come on to open up, share their stories, and be vulnerable. I love it, and I get so much out of these chats. I'm so glad I could share this milestone with Natalie. She's a legend. She's thoughtful, deep, reflective, and absolutely hilarious. I had a great time, and I think you will too. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. Natalie Zea is an actor, writer, and director. She currently stars in the CBS Drama Fire Country. Her back-to-back series regular roles over the past 20 years include Dirty Sexy Money, Justified, The Detour, and The Unicorn. More recently, she starred in the NBC series Brea for 2 seasons and reoccurred for 8 episodes on Chicago Med. You may have also seen Natalie in The Other Guys, 911, Lone Star, The Following, Californication, The Shield, and Passions, to name a few. So as you can imagine, we dive deep and we cover a lot, and we chat about Passions, her challenging time in Australia, feast or famines, periods of no work, psychic predictions, changing lanes and writing, good collaboration, how Natalie broke into comedies, her iconic scene in The Other Guys, being the queen of leaving shows, ego death, plus plenty more. Before we get into this epic chat, I'd love it if you would share the podcast around, like, comment, subscribe, write a nice review. It really helps the podcast grow and helps ensure I can lock in amazing guests like this one. Okay, cool. Thanks so much. Let's get into it. You know what? Maybe let's start here. This is all about you. I love your husband, Travis, but I think we might start at a similar place that we started with your husband, and that was your podcast about passions. Can you tell me about that? Because I found that very interesting hearing it from Travis's end, and I want to hear what some of the takeaways were and why you decided to do the podcast.
Oh, I should have done my homework and I should have listen to see what his answer was. That was primarily for us it was deep into COVID, and it was a way for us to have anything that was not cooking and washing our groceries and trying to teach our child Montessori over Zoom, which that'll really blow your mind.
Yep.
Yeah. All kinds of synapses were not firing with that. So a friend of ours had suggested our friend Valentine, who ended up producing the podcast. He was over one night. We were doing a bubble thing where we were all outside and like doing the 6 feet. That's so crazy. It's so fucking crazy that we did that.
I know it.
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
So he was over and he was like, look, I really think that people would respond to this. I think that it was when, like, rewatch podcasts were starting to take off, and we're like, yeah, but that means we have to watch Passions. And I don't know who had the idea of bringing our friend Ben in, because Ben had never seen an episode of the show. And so he was sort of this, like, it was, like an alien creature coming to Earth and us trying to explain to him what,
That's amazing.
A dog is.
Yep.
So for me, I don't want to speak for the boys, but for me, it was really a way to connect, not just with each other, but also with people on the outside, and have something that was scheduled every week, and something that we could work towards, even if it was just like watching a shitty soap opera and, like,
Yep.
talking smack on it. And I think that's why we didn't end up continuing it, because once we got to Australia, things kind of fell apart because I got really busy. Travis was, in his own, dealing with his own shit, as was I. We all were. And it just started to feel like a lot of work, and it wasn't fun. I mean, I've listened to our last podcast and we don't sound okay. Like we're not well. So, and we said, and we thought, we truly thought, we were like, look, we're going to go away for the summer. We're going to recharge our batteries and, try and get our act together, and we'll be back. We're fully intending to do that. But it never felt organically right because the window had sort of closed and the time had passed. And I'm really happy with what we did. There were so many people for whom it brought a lot of joy, which is all we wanted. So nice. I think it was a massive success because we cut out before it got big, before podcasting got big. Yeah. And I that's kind of my signature move. I just up and leave.
We'll pigeonhole that, but I remember listening to it at the time. I thought it was great. You guys were doing very well. I may have not listened to the end ones, but I'm sure you think it was worse than it was. But what I got was that it was also like quite healing. Well, I'll talk about you. It was quite healing because it sounded like there was a love-hate relationship with it. And I know other people have spoken about it as well, but I don't really like fully understand the dynamics of the show. But did you find after rewatching it, it was quite healing and you could process things and realize that you actually gained maybe more positives than you thought?
I think for me, it was really, really interesting to hear Travis's perspective now versus what I thought was happening with him at the time. Because we were close. We were really good friends at the time, but we were not married. And we were not in a relationship. We were not in a romantic relationship. And so I had some very preconceived notions about what the experience was for him, and to hear his point of view, 20 years later, and how off I was in my perception. That was, I think that was really good for me. Just for like, not only from a performer's point of view, because we're always making comparisons, and we create these narratives of grass is greener narratives with everyone we work with. Often I don't know, maybe it's just me. Everyone. Yeah. And I think it really humanized the experience. In my eyes, because I felt like at the time he and I were working in very different spheres on the show. Like men are extremely important in that genre, and women are sort of like secondary, unless they're like the sort of
the evil sister twins.
The ingenue. No, I was evil, and I didn't, I wasn't really all that important. But it was good. It was good to know what was going on with him way back nice. When. Yeah.
That would have brought a lot of, I guess, clarity as well. I also wrote a lot of points, listening to you talk about it as well. And on top of probably being a better actor as well, I assume because those things are tough. Aren't you doing sometimes 30 pages or a huge amount of monologue and just move on? So did that help, or did that scare you? Did it make you a better actor because of it?
I was terrified. My first day, I was terrified. I don't recall ever having been that frightened of something that wasn't going to kill me. Yeah. And then it takes very little time. I think the following day I was fine.
Oh, wow. That's it was crazy.
A very quick turnover.
Yeah, wow.
But now it's interesting because television, which is what I mostly do, and independent films, which now sort of run on a TV schedule. I mean, we're sort of being forced to work at a similar pace. I mean, not quite 30 pages a day, but a very similar pace to well, rather very different from, I guess, what it used to be,
Yeah.
in terms of page count. So I don't know that it's all that different from now. I don't know. I think, yeah, I think I got used to it really quickly.
That is very rare. I couldn't think of anything scary in my life if I was to pursue acting, and then you get something like this, which was just so fast paced, and you keep on moving on. Also, there's a lot of shit talking around. Well, you guys have spoken about passions, but other people talk about soap operas.
Mm.
You also mentioned this in a previous thing. I'm trying to remember what it was, but there was like a stigma of it, like it wasn't cool or real actors do that. Did that also
Hmm.
shift for you after doing that?
After doing the soap or after doing the podcast?
Both.
Um, Ew, I don't know. I mean, passions was so singular. It's really hard to distinguish because I mean, I screen tested for every soap that was ever on the air, and the only one I got was Passions. And I remember with all those other screen tests thinking, okay, this isn't Shakespeare, it's not Mamet, but it there's something I can work with here. Like
Nice.
I can. What was so great about soap scripts was that you can, it's almost like a foundation that you get to take and add to and build upon. And it's there's almost a great sense of freedom in being able to do that because nobody's paying attention because we just have to get the 30 pages done.
Yeah.
So yeah, great. If you want to create the character, create the character.
Ah.
So that I found really great. I loved it. I loved the challenge. But Passions was different. It was not the same beast. It was truly, and I don't like to yuck people's yum, and I don't like to shit talk other artists,
Yeah.
but it was really, the writing was shit. It was just like, that's not my opinion. That's simply what it was.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
shit. And there's no way for it not to be shit. I mean, that's not true. Again, these other
No, I
shows.
get it. It's so fast paced. There's so much happening. It's also like in their model. It's kind of like Chat
Yeah.
GPT writing from what I've heard from other things as well.
Yes. Well, I would always, one of the analogies I would use is that sometimes, I mean, like, the grammar was off oftentimes, and it felt as though it was a script that was in Portuguese that had been translated into, like, literally translated into English. Like,
That's amazing.
none of it quite worked.
Yeah.
But like, it, like, nobody had like found the nuance in the translation. It was just like,
You box head.
yes, exactly. Yeah. So, again, pardon me for criticizing other artists, but are they artists? were the writers on Passions artists? I don't know, man. Yeah.
Okay. The reason I bring it up is not to, for like a gossip story or anything. I think it's very unique. This was, basically one of your big breaks at the start.
Mhm.
And going over a podcast, for example, with your husband would not only be like great for the relationship, but more so your career and the reflections, what you thought was maybe something might not be as harsh as it may have been many years later. And there were, some positives. I just think it's very interesting when you do a show like that because you're in like 200 episodes. There's a lot of learnings probably there. And
Oh God, I'm going to be honest. Also, a lot of it is like focusing on, like, why were my eyebrows so thin? Why did I talk? Why did I stand there with my mouth open all the time? Why did I think that was a good look? It's like the visual aspect of it would really, I would get very caught up in it during the rewatch. So it was really hard to it was really hard to have a good critical eye on other things because I was like, did I was I wearing mascara, or what is my face doing? So yeah, it's like the superficial stuff is the stuff that sort of stood out. And maybe that was because I just couldn't handle watching the bad acting. Because it was bad. I mean, it was bad all the way around. It's not that the
I need to
actors
watch
on
this.
Okay.
That was such
Am
a
I
great
am I selling it?
You really
It's
are. Sometimes like really bad TV is the best TV.
it's not that the actors on Passions were bad. It's that the acting on Passions was bad.
Yep.
All of us,
Yep.
not a single one of us was doing a good job.
Yep.
And and I think again that's a testament to how little sort of care was put into making sure there was nuance and making sure that the stories worked and that the writing worked and that we were writing dialogue that sounded like people talk, because we weren't, and I wasn't right. Sorry, I'm not they.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
It's fast-paced environment. It just,
yeah,
as we said, churning it out. The director's probably like, okay, we've got that's close enough. Let's move on. There's
yeah.
no like which you used to. There's probably more collaboration. Doesn't sound like there was a lot of that as well.
No, there was a paycheck. They would say, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast when we were doing it, but oftentimes when someone dared to ask, okay, yeah, I'm going to cross over there, but what is my motivation for going over there? The directors almost always answered Thursday, because Thursday is when the paychecks come.
that is so. I also do screenwriting. I know that you write as well. If I had that, that would be like the worst thing. That is the worst thing that I could ever imagine on a set, is hearing that. Is, oh boy. So
yeah,
that
so we didn't have a shot.
Yeah,
we did not have a chance. So, I think that part of me watches it and really forgives everyone, not just myself, but everyone. Like, no, these people are lovely people and very good at their craft. We just did not have it. We had no chance.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very well said. And then when you decide to, I can't remember, did you decide to move on, or was it a 2-year contract?
I did a 2-year contract and opted not to renew, which I think Travis and I, and maybe one or two other people, were the only ones who didn't renew. And it was
interesting.
It was really contentious. It was like people were like, do you know what, you have any idea what you're getting into out there?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I was just out there 2 years ago. I can handle it.
But did that build more resilience? Because we kind of alluded to this before. It's hard, especially when you just come out of studies and you're pursuing, and it might be quite, which is for every single person, it could be quite challenging to find steady work. You find this, did that kind of like shift anything in terms of how to survive or thrive, or not being able to get away?
I think I was young enough. I really enjoyed the 2 years of not having to pound the pavement. And I enjoyed like getting to go shopping and not worrying about rent. But I also disliked the lack of creative stimulation I was getting, and because when you're in your 20s you can still sort of make decisions based on the reason that you got into the business in the first place.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't that hard. I mean, I knew going into it that it was 2 years and done. I don't think I ever at any point was like tempted to reconsider.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And in terms of what did that like hustle look like, coming out of very steady to, I assume, coming out, back to the hustle?
It was not great. It was not great. I didn't work for another year. I left, I think, in 2002 maybe, and I didn't work until 2003. It was a whole year before I got a job again, and that was rough. It was really rough.
And what helped you in that time? Like, what were you doing? Was it
alcohol
in your mind? Yeah. That's a very
cigarettes.
common one. Yeah.
Doing a lot of smoking and drinking.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, like, it's funny because I know that I've listened to a couple of episodes of your podcast, and I know that people are like, yeah, of course, people are, offer up these sort of like, these the coping mechanisms and sort of aspirational, inspirational ways to get through. I didn't do very well in that year, and I tend to not do very well during the famines.
The famines, that's a great word.
Because it's always feast or famine with us, right? So it was really rough, and I was really frustrated. And I mean, never at any point did I think I shouldn't have left the soap, but I just didn't understand what I was doing. I was doing everything right. I was doing everything I was supposed to do, and it just wasn't coming. So I didn't cope. I didn't handle it well.
Well, I'll also sort of challenge you on that because not doing well could be quitting or going back to passions where perhaps the creative juices aren't flowing. So you actually were pursuing despite probably going through like extreme
Mm.
like challenges of how's this going to happen. But you,
I I mean, I guess that's lovely of you to say. Those two things were not an option. I mean,
yeah,
it was just I did because I came from New York to do Passions to LA and assumed that as soon as I was done with Passions, I would go back to New York, and I didn't do that. So I wonder if there was a moment in there where I thought maybe I go back to New York. I don't remember. It was a while ago. But like like quitting was not an option, and going back to Passions actually wasn't an option. I don't think because they replaced me with the girl that I replaced. So very in like pure like soap fashion.
I was just trying to say, like, I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah.
And what was the appeal of New York? Was that because some people say, like, you start in New York, and then some people, like, you start in LA, or,
Right.
yeah.
I went to school in New York. I left
Yeah.
when I was done with high school. I went to school there thinking that I was going to do theater, and couldn't. I wasn't quite able to get my foot in that door. So, and also that was my home. I had an apartment there. My boyfriend was there. All my friends were there, although they were all starting to like migrate to the West Coast. And now there's only one who's left,
Oh,
and
wow.
another one just went. So now there's two, but for the most part, everybody's here now.
Oh, interesting. And then, so what allowed you? Because if you're in that state and you're like, there's a lot of panic, obviously everyone would be like this.
Mm,
Sometimes if you bring that into the audition room, they can like sense the fear and the
hmm
desperation. Did you have to like work on that, or once you're in the room, you could kind of like say like, "Oh, I'm
Oh God, remember audition rooms? Yeah, we don't get to do that anymore.
that hurts me, and I don't even do
It's
them." Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty painful. No, I mean I'm sure, yes, absolutely, because you bring all that energy into the room with you, no matter what, no matter how hard you try and tamp it down. But I think um right when I left the show, when I left the soap, I was at a friend's brunch. We had this group of girls, and they would do Sunday brunches. And one Sunday brunch, one of them brought a friend who's a psychic, and she did some readings for us. And
oh,
it was very cool, and it was very like on point. And to me, she said, "You just left your job." And I said, I did just leave my job. And she said, "You're not going to work for a year." And I was like, "Oh, darling." That's adorable. I don't think you know what you're talking about. And so I think in the back of my head, weirdly, and it's, I don't know how much I believe in all of that. I definitely have some woo woo in me. So
same,
sure.
same.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. I can get into it.
yeah.
But I think that weirdly that kind of helped keep me going. Because at first I was like, well, that's bullshit. And then after 6 months, 8 months, I was like, wait, maybe she's right. So as that as time went on, it oddly became more comforting. Like, okay, well, we only have 3 more months, and then and she was correct. I worked almost a year to the day that I left the
No.
soap. Yeah,
What a
yeah.
cool, what a, but going back to her, what a cool skill that you could just pull that out at a party and then do that. And then if it happens,
And
like, yes.
you know what's crazy? And I'm just remembering this now, is that one of the other women at the brunch, she was writing a screenplay, and the psychic woman said, "You're actually supposed to be writing books." And the woman who was writing the screenplay went off. Like she did not want to hear that. She was really upset, even though all of us were like, "You're right." And she
That's
so
also a
so
compliment, but yeah.
yeah, so my friend years, decades later wrote a like best-selling novel.
No way. Is it like
Yeah.
the Bible? Like, that's crazy.
Well, we're not friends anymore, so I'm not going to promote it. But
Yeah.
she wrote this book and it did really well. So, I mean, that woman, whoever that psychic woman was.
Have you ever had much go and call her? I want a number. That's crazy.
Yeah, right?
Okay, we'll talk off there. I'm getting her number. And so after that year had passed and you said it was so quick, did that kind of like shift things for you also like mentally to get out of kind of that state as well?
Can you hear the children next door?
Yeah.
Are they distracting?
It's fine.
Okay, good. Okay, repeat the question because I was like, what? Okay.
After that year when you got a job opportunity, does that kind of like start to shift things for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was also like anytime I'm coming out of a famine, it's like, oh, thank God. Like it's like I can breathe again.
Yeah.
So it's less like joyous and more like, um, okay, I can pay off, whoever I like borrowed money from. Um, and when you're worried about that kind of stuff, of course, you're not going to like, again, put great energy out into the world and into audition rooms. But yeah, that got the ball rolling, and I ended up, yeah, from there, just like, uh, things started happening and there was movement and activity until the next famine. But that was, yeah, it was a real, like the spell had been broken and we were off to the races.
That's amazing. And I like the word famine as well because your resume, and I'm not just saying this, is incredible. What you've been able to do is amazing. And I'm sure I've heard you speak about, there's probably moments where you're like, oh, I wish I did this or whatever, but you're in that top like percent of what you've been able to do. As famines happen, because they happen with every single person, have you been able to deal with it better with time and wisdom?
No.
Go on.
Not really. I know. I really wish I really wish I knew the secret, but I think that, maybe that's the thing until I do come up with some sort of spiritual acceptance of it, it's just going to continue to happen. And I'm sure I do handle it differently / better now.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, but it's still it's weird because now I have, it's like more money, more problems, right? Like I have much bigger responsibilities now that I've had some success. And so when the famine is present, which it is currently, it's less about like I'm bored or like I wish somebody would hire me. It's more like I have to support my family. And so yeah, I mean, I it's almost like, oh fuck, I really wish I was still in a place where I had so few responsibilities. Like if the famine was happening, if this famine was happening in my 20s, but I had the knowledge that I have now, I would be like, I'm going to the beach. I wouldn't like stress so much.
Yeah.
I would like pursue, like I would go surfing and do my hobbies.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, this is serious. Like we got to figure out how the mortgage is going to get paid. So that's kind of a bummer, is that like, I can't, I don't really have the bandwidth, the like spiritual bandwidth to kind of, appreciate the downturn that's within the industry. There's a downturn and I'm working right now, so I'm an asshole for saying that there's a famine right now. So but
there is
no,
maybe not with you. I just mean in the industry as whole, given
yes,
regardless COVID,
we're all
the strikes,
we're all in the
streaming,
famine.
all there's no assholes here. Does writing, I'm not sure if that's something that you're still doing because I heard about it a little while ago. Is that something still, maybe to get your mind off things and stuff?
Well, in fact, my writing is actually the thing that I feel I'm succeeding at the most.
Ooh.
Yeah. Acting, right, I'm in a very strange transitional moment because acting for me right now is simply a way to get the mortgage paid. And I'm not creatively super tuned into it. I'm not in a place where I'm feeling in any way inspired or challenged necessarily. I am so incredibly grateful to have the opportunities that I have, and I I certainly don't want to poo poo that, but my creative fire is being lit with my writing projects, and I'm also feeling much more movement, much more forward moving momentum with those than I am with I feel like I'm at a place as an actor that I've been, and that's fine. But I I don't there's no like propulsion. It's just okay, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna do this job and I'm gonna do the best job I can, but I'm certainly, not taking it home with me. It's kind of a cool place to be, I guess,
Yeah.
especially because I do have this other stuff. If I didn't have this other stuff, that would be very, very sad for me. That would be heartbreaking because I am a creative being at my core. So the fact that this other stuff is um, it has movement and feels like it has a lot of support with some really powerful and influential people who are holding it up and
Amazing.
guiding it and making sure that it's getting where it needs to get to be a success. That has been, I mean, it's a really slow process. It's really slow. Actors are the last to get hired, right? So like
Yeah.
you go, you get the call, you get the offer, you do the deal, you're on the plane, you're there. With this is years of development and of people coming onto the team, and those people give you notes, and then you take those notes, and then more people come onto the team and they have notes, and then you, luckily with this one particular project that's front of mind, the people are all correct in their notes in their note
Oh,
giving.
that's so rare.
No, I know, it's
Oh,
really, I mean,
amazing.
the executives we have on this project are like I don't even understand how lucky we got. And
Oh,
then
great.
the creative entities are brilliant, and it's just been it's been such a singularly positive experience. And I know that's not that, what, weirdly, I know people talk a lot of shit on executives, but I've had a handful of scripts optioned at studios. I've really enjoyed my relationship with executives at studios. They have, with the exception of like maybe one, have had great notes, very thoughtful, and like coming from a place of we want this to succeed. So
Wow, good for
I've been
you.
really, really blessed to be handed, by the writing gods, these people who know from which they speak.
That's amazing. I'm glad
Yeah,
that you had that. It seems like outside of politicians, like the two jobs you can bag the most are executives and real estate agents,
and
and it
lawyers,
just
I
and
guess.
and lawyers. But
Yeah,
there's plenty of good people there as well, and I'm guilty.
yeah,
I've always bagged. 'Cause I haven't had that many positive experience, but that's who's like. There's obviously good people out there. Otherwise, like things wouldn't happen all the time. But
yeah.
also, huge congratulations to you as well, because
Thank you.
acting is always up and down, and different stages in your life, different things will come, and that's something that you've got a bit more control of. You can actually create the words on the paper. That's something to, it sounds like the goalposts have kind of shifted as well. It doesn't mean when you're not acting, as you said, you go in, you give it 100%, but it means it's not as potentially negatively impacting you as much because you're not bringing it home. But this is something like you've moved the goalposts. Isn't that kind of like cool,
Mm.
that you found something? Because you could be, inverted commas, the actor, just do the actor. It's too scared to do anything else. And now you're
Oh,
doing this.
well, yeah, people really want us to stay in our lanes.
Oh, wow.
I've been writing for over 20 years, and
Oh, cool.
I have not one single writing credit on IMDb because they've never gotten past the option stage, or development stage, but I've gotten paid for it. And I feel like I have grown as a writer in ways that I have not grown as an actor. Um,
Whoa.
I feel really confident in my writing in ways that I don't feel as an actor. And I mean, a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm really focused on this particular project that's, getting momentum and traction. But I also feel like just, I can look back on my work as a writer, 2 years ago and see how much I've have so much improvement. I don't feel that way about acting. Not that I wouldn't, and not that I won't ever again. It's just that's not those opportunities are not available to me right now. So, yeah, but it is extremely challenging to get people in this industry to take you seriously once you have established yourself as one thing, especially if you're a woman. Directing, writing, everybody is just so recalcitrant about.
I don't know what that word means.
It's like stubborn, but like weirdly, like a little more passively stubborn. Like they just don't want. They're just unmoved in accepting that somebody like myself could maybe do something else and maybe even better than act.
Isn't that like crazy as well? Because
it's mind blowing because you see so many men. Like I was looking, I'm looking to get a film financed, and I was that I'm going to direct and probably act in. And what I was told, there's somebody I'm going to meet with who's interested, and what I was told was it's going to be a big ask for you to both direct and star in it because it's your first feature. So I'm a good girl and I did my due diligence and I did my research. And what I found is it's been done. People have given money to actors who are also directing and acting in the same movie. But what's fucked up is that the people go back. What's fucked up is that the people that they've given like handfuls of cash to. I'm thinking of Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born. I'm thinking of A Quiet Place. I'm thinking of, on a slightly smaller level, Joseph Gordon-Levitt for that movie Don John. I think that's Don John. Those budgets were not small, and these gentlemen knocked it out of the park and made back the investors' money in triplicate, some of these examples. And then I looked at the women and the list is smaller and the budgets are way smaller. But also these women made the investors their money back in triplicate. So like we can do it. Actors can do it. We're able to do, and these were all the movies that I was researching were all the first time directors who were also starring in the movies.
Yeah, nice.
All of them did it. They all did it. They made money back. They did great. They all but one, I think, had multiple nominations and various like big award, like Oscar, Golden Globe, all the big stuff. So not only do we do it, not only do we make your money back, but we also get critical acclaim. Like, relax. Everybody fucking relax. We've got this.
And all they care about is money. So the proof's in the pudding. That still blows my mind. I'm surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you been able to, because it's an uphill battle, or it sounds like it.
Yeah.
What do you do? Just, only collaborate with
I don't know.
people?
What's your advice? It's really.
I'm trying to get my scripts up. So
I know we're all trying to get money, and we're all trying to get money right now, and that's the hardest part is like getting because some really frustrating advice that I hear all the time is, well, just make your own stuff. Yes, I am making my own stuff, but there comes a point where I need capital, and when people are reluctant to give me capital because X, Y, and Z, because we can give you half of your budget to make, that movie that you can't make on half the budget, or we can, do it if this other person gets inserted into the cast or directs or whatever. It's like, okay, yes, I'm trying to make my own shit, but I need money. I need the money to do it. So that's right now is my, at least with feature films. With TV, it's a little weirdly easier because once you get a studio behind you, you can at least let them kind of do the heavy lifting, with like setting up the meetings at various buyers. But even they have to, you have to get in the room and they have to love it, and then they'll give you the money. So it's really about like, I have no, there's no limit to like the product. I have product coming out of my ears. It's just about bridging the gap between my creative vision and the people who have the cash, and trying to figure out how I can make it attractive to those people. When, like you said, it's everybody just wants to make their money back. It's really hard to find people who are willing to say, I might lose money on this, but I believe in the project enough to gamble. And that's simply, everybody's making decisions based on fear right now. So it's really hard to, like, 5-10 years ago, when I was like stuck on TV shows, again, happy to be stuck on TV shows, but like didn't have the time to make my own projects.
Yeah.
People were just like handing money out on the fucking corner.
How much do you need? 10 mil?
Yeah, exactly. People were like, I got it. And I'm like, well, wait, where did you guys go? Now I'm ready. You're not here.
You know what? It also works in your favor, given that you've been in the industry for so long. You've been, top of the call sheet. You've seen the highs and lows. You've seen trends. You've seen what works, what doesn't work. And also, if you're the director as well, you've seen good collaboration and bad collaboration. It's not like when they say like a first-time director, I would be like a first-time director, someone who hasn't been on sets and stuff and wouldn't quite understand it. But, someone like you is basically a director. I know you've done directing before, I think also with the Detour, but the experience and the collaboration and working with people, that is so important, especially from, manning the ship.
Well, and I think that's in part why I believe actors make very good directors. Some of my favorite directors have been directors who were either still acting or had previously been actors. Because not only do we have a leg up in that we see all the machinations of it. We know we're watching everything. We're watching the crew. We're watching the gaffers. We're watching electric. We're watching sound. We're watching hair and makeup. We're watching the DP. We're aware of everything. And if you do it long enough, the rhythm of a set and you understand how it works. And I think that a lot of producers and some executives don't realize that. They don't give us the kind of credit that we often need to be able to bridge that gap. In fact, I think it's harder for us, which is bananas, because like you said, we have this very special skill of having been a part of it already. Like there are a lot of directors who haven't been on set, but for maybe a couple of times. And I'm not entrusting them more than I would entrust somebody who's been on set for 20 years. And not every actor wants to do it, and that's fine. But I think also actors come over prepared. I absolutely, I have never seen an actor walk onto a set to direct anything and be like, I don't know, guys, what are you thinking? I don't have any plans. Like never, not once.
Just click record and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're just gonna feel it out. Like legitimately, no, nobody's gonna do that because you're already trying to prove that you belong there the whole time anyway.
And it's that experience that hasn't been, validated. With one of the scripts that I almost sold, thank God I didn't. But one of the appeal was of the team that wanted to buy the script. One was a long-time actor and, the years of experience working with people. And also as an actor as well, you also hear the shit talking. You can hear, oh, I didn't like that director. I didn't like that person. I didn't like that. And then not to do that as well. That is, no one talks about that. That is so important. The shit talking and learning from it.
Yep. Yeah.
And okay, so I wrote down like 5 points and now... Oh, okay. This kind of...
I know, I've just been monologuing.
No.
I just monologue. That's all I do.
I love it as well. And this advice, and I love her, this is amazing. I had a lady on, Andrea Savage, and she
Mhm.
created. I'm not sure if you watched it. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
kind of like Curb Enthusiasm in a sense. I loved it. And it doesn't, this advice doesn't necessarily apply to me because it is harder with making movies. And it sounds like you're writing a movie as well. But what she did, and I know we speak about capital, and I know that it also, not her, but it also annoys me when people are like, just write your stuff.
Yeah.
To film the whole thing is like crazy. It costs way too much money. But
Right.
something that she did was she just got some of her friends and filmed some scenes. And
Yep.
then and I was
Yeah.
like, that's amazing. And then she got I'm Sorry, which, well, she created and wrote and started and all of that. I'm like, wow, from doing some scenes with their friends, and
It's
the rest is
it's
still very
history.
expensive. Yeah.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because yeah, I mean, and there's the famous story about Damien Chazelle doing that one scene from Whiplash. Um,
Oh
with
yeah.
I think J.K. Simmons was in that scene. Yeah, it's that very intense, like, are you pulling, are you dragging, are you rushing, are you dragging? He shot that, and that's how he was able to finance the film. And I think about it all the time, and I talk to my team, and it's just literally every day it's different. Sometimes it's like waste of time, other times it's like
Yeah.
go do it, and
You
I'm
have
like,
to
well, wait,
yeah.
but tomorrow is it going to be a waste so yeah, I mean, yes, and the answer is go shoot something, even if and I'm actually directing a short in October that's gonna cost 15 cents, where everybody's working for free. We're all gonna, like, I'm gonna do like the hair and makeup. I mean, it's like Travis is gonna be in it. So yes, I say go shoot something, and it's still gonna cost anybody a few $1,000s. So I hope you have it, but that, especially when you were just feeling stuck and stagnant and feeling as though everything's pushing up against you every time you try and open a door or go around a corner or open a window or climb over, there's just stop signs everywhere. um yeah, just pick up your phone and go shoot it. And that's easy for me to say because I'm not doing it. I'm doing it later,
Yeah.
in a
No, it's
few
great, but
months.
also you need to feel into it when it's right, and some things you
Yeah, and
can't
you
do.
don't want to feel like it's a waste of time. You
Yeah.
don't want, and I think part of what is the amazing saying, like, perfection is the enemy of good. Perfect
Yeah.
is the enemy of good.
Yeah.
That should be all over my home, because I stop myself from doing so many things because I'm like, well, it's not going to be, no, I'm going to get so bogged down with the details, and I'm going to want it to be exactly the way I want it. So I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's such a, like, a dumb, basic, like, creative person's problem, but it's very real. And, you look at Backrooms, you look at Obsession, and it's like, they did it. They fucking went out and did it.
Giving more credit to Andrea because I love her and her story is amazing.
Mm.
I think when she was I'm paraphrasing, no one quote me. I think people didn't quite understand. They couldn't quite see it on the page of what she'd written, and you can see like it's like quite unique in the dialogue as well. And this is cringe. It's not as bad as it sounds, but I'll exaggerate a little bit for this story. One of the first things I wrote, it was garbage. It's embarrassing. And I showed it to one of our like Netflix, like she's the key person that does all like the Netflix like comedies, and she's kind of like the only person here that like does it as well. So she read the script, she goes, it's okay. And I'm like, you think it's okay? But it was like she was being nice, but then
Yeah.
she didn't quite understand some of the dialogue. And I read it in like a very fast pace, kind of like a Seinfeld kind of bit. And she goes, oh, I had no idea it was like that. That's so different. And she's right. Every time someone had read that script, like I wrote, read it in a fast pace, but there's a specific like pace to it that changes the whole dialogue. And
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That we see it, or we hear it in our brains the way that we hear it, and for us it's like, well, this is obvious that this is how this sounds, and this is how this is going. You're just not getting it. You're not getting it.
Yeah.
And then you have to I think that's great that you did that. I mean, I think that, when my writing partner and I do pitches, we will put and this is a common thing, we'll put dialogue in the pitch, and so that they can hear, because we're pitching this
so
thing for me.
Smart.
It's
oh my
so
God.
smart, because you're like,
yeah,
you're giving them a little like amuse bouche of what especially if they haven't read the script, of what they can expect, and like what the sort of tone, like the vibe of what you're offering.
Thank you for that. I needed to
Yeah,
hear that. And
of course.
while we're on this as well, this is Julie, right? Is this your
Julie, yes. Yeah,
Julie.
yeah. Julie Nathanson, yeah.
And what does good collaboration look like? Because you've seen the highs and lows of the industry, bad directors, not bad actors, but maybe bad collaborating actors as well. You've seen agents say things, all of that stuff as well. What does good collaboration feel like to you?
I mean, it's really hard for me to speak about this in any kind of general sense because this woman, my writing partner, Julie Nathanson, I've known her for over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we have a connection that is extremely special and singular. And we started out as friends. We met on a film years ago, like one of the first movies I ever did. And we are very different personality wise and energy wise on the surface. But we have we're like sort of twin souls deep down under the surface. And it, I mean, find yourself somebody who like can read your mind. Yep. I don't know. It's just it works really, and we've been working together. Bless you.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
It was great. We've been working together for a very long time, and so you start to sort of speak this twin language, and I'm not gonna lie, our brains work differently, and sometimes it is a challenge for both of us because there are very specific ways in which each of us needs to especially when we get stressed out, when we're dealing with a deadline, when we've got notes that are really challenging and we don't know what to do with them. There are certain things. She's like, I know you hate it when I read out loud. I'm like, I really do. I really fucking do. But I also know that she needs it. She needs she'll be like, okay. She'll be like, okay, so she says this and he says this. And she said, and I'm like, yeah, I wrote it. Yeah, I know. But also, there are things for me, like I will not work after 5 p.m. I won't. I mean, if it is an emergency, okay, I'm not much help. I'm like really not going to do you any good. And also she doesn't sleep. So she will work in the middle of the night. I get 9 hours of sleep. So I'm
thank you. 9
hours. Oh yeah. Babe. I work really optimal. It's my optimal time of day is like, daytime, like normal. So we definitely have some differences that can sometimes help. That actually works out really well. Like when there's a deadline and we are at the point in the process where we can divide and conquer and we don't need to be in the same, share the same space where she can be like, I will take this tonight in the morning. It's going to be in your inbox. And then I need you to take over. That's what good collaboration looks like.
Trust as well.
Yeah.
Not that I've had too many, but with like other writing partners as well. And I'm not I'm like a hands-off guy. But when there's not trust, you're like, oh, make sure you do that or do that and do that. And there's nothing worse when you have to worry about someone else because you don't have the trust. But yeah, that is amazing that you found someone like that. That is,
I feel really lucky. And also that trust does not come quickly. Even with us, and we trust each other like implicitly. That it still took a little. I mean, we actually had to have a talk like maybe a year ago where it was like, hey, you are allowed to do what you think is right when I'm out of pocket and vice versa. And we had to just acknowledge that, like that when this thing goes, there are going to be moments where we can't touch base. And I need you to know that we are sharing a hive mind here. And so it was really important for us to check in and know that like, yes, we each give each other permission to do that when the moment comes. And it's very freeing. You forget too sometimes and you're like, well, I got to talk to my partner and she's, I don't know where she is. It's like, oh no, I have permission to do this on my own.
But also in good relationships, being able to check in and have those conversations as well. It's essential. Yeah. People think all relationships you don't have any of those conversations. I think it's the best ones that you're able to have them. So that's amazing that you found that as well. And while this springs to mind, just wanted to tie up a few points, talking about the industry and how, sometimes work isn't there and the industry people can see you in a certain way or, the example you gave, they might not want you to direct and star and all of that stuff. I want to give you credit, which you may have forgotten, but I think at one stage in your career, you weren't seen that much for comedies and you kind of changed the narrative as well. You tell me a bit about that, because that's so awesome to have that like oomph or courage or whatever the word is to say, I can do comedies.
I think I just screamed it loud enough and finally people started listening. I also think that I was in a really fortunate position in my career where I was in a window where I had the opportunity to say no a lot more than other times. And I was just like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Get me the comedies. I want to do the comedies. So bring me the comedies. And if not, I just won't be working right now. And so um I think also, as with anything in my career that I have felt really passionately about and have a really, really positive sort of feeling towards, somebody had to take a chance on me. Everything that I have loved in my career has been because somebody took a chance on me when they shouldn't have or didn't have to. And I think that was really helpful in helping me find my way in the comedy world. Because if people assume, if people are just dead set on you being one way, there has to be somebody who's like, I know you're telling me that she's this way, but she's telling me she's this way. Should we listen to her and maybe see if maybe she is that way? And that's for doing the Detour. Jason Jones did not. There was no reason that he should have given me that job. I didn't audition. No sane person would have given me that job, but he did, and I'm forever grateful for that, and the fact that he was right. He was right, and I'm sure he gloats to whoever.
But also, I want to give you extra credit. You actually, as we said, sometimes people can be not creative and they can see you as, inverted commas, just the actor. Or I think you said, I don't quite have the wording here, but you were the girl that does drama. That's how people perceived you. But it's one thing to like scream loudly, but you probably did multiple things, but you actually changed your reel to make it only comedy. That's really smart. If you can remember, what made you do that?
Well, I was like, I'm not going to give them a choice. I'm not going to give anyone a choice who sees this. I don't care. Like if somebody wants me for some like dark, like serial killer, whatever, and I give them a reel of just me yucking it up, then they're either going to be like, oh shit, I actually want to put her in my other thing that's a comedy. Or they're going to be like, why are you giving me this weird girl's reel for this thing that's not, this is so inappropriate. Like one of two things is going to happen. We hope it's the first thing. And if it's not the second thing, like I don't want the job anyway. I don't want your job anyway. I want the one that is where I make people laugh. So I think it was just like, don't give anybody a choice.
And so great that you didn't stay in your lane. This is the theme that I'm seeing as well, where you can kind of be pushed one side and you keep on doing it. And also, isn't it crazy? I think it probably started, one of the big things was through, The Other Guys. How, first of all, I watched it the other day and I was like, this is still as funny as when I saw it. Is it not crazy that a scene or a moment can still stand and still be one of the funniest things I've ever seen or people have seen on a movie as well?
I had more fun on that. I remember waking up because we only shot for one day. That was an entire day that we did that scene. It was dedicated to just us. And I remember waking up the next day and my abs were sore from having laughed so hard. I love that. Mark Wahlberg couldn't keep his shit together. It was just, what a delight. That one, I went in and read for a different role. I read for Lindsay Sloan's part, who the character was, I think, Mark Wahlberg's ex-girlfriend. And I went in, and this is just what I do, and I almost always fall flat on my face, but this time I didn't. I went in and I misread the scene so hard. I went so over the top. I was playing this scene like broad comedy, and it was very much the straight man. Like if you've seen the movie, that Mark Wahlberg's ex-girlfriend is like not supposed to be funny or crazy. She's just a girl. And I went in there and I just went bananas, and they were like, oh, no, 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 no. Thanks anyways. See you later. I walk out of the room and like I'm about to get on the elevator and one of the casting assistants is running after me and they're like, hey, would you be open to reading for a different role? And I'm like, well, I'm fucking here. Yeah, of course. So they give me the part of Christine. I hadn't read the script. I didn't read the script. Oh, sorry. I think they provided it, but I don't read. And which is probably why I went in there acting like a maniac. Like had I read the script, I would have been like, oh, this is clearly the part of the anyway. So they yeah, I remember I was like the role was she's a ballerina. Like I think in the movie, Mark Wahlberg's character comes to the dance studio and Lindsay Sloan is just so beautiful and just lovely and dainty and like doing ballet. Well, I didn't read the script, so I was doing like I was like twerking in the audition and
That's great.
they're like no. So that they chased me out of
Oh, that's so good.
the building and they were like, do you want to read for this crazy lady? And I was like, sure, I guess I'm crazy. And so I had no context because I hadn't read the script. So I just went in there and I went bananas again. And they were like, I guess it works. She's it.
That's
so
amazing.
Sometimes
just like that.
Go bananas.
And does anyone ever call you Christina? That's the
all
best
the time.
name ever. Oh,
all the time. I love it. I call me Christina all day long. I love it.
That's going to be the title of the podcast as well.
Right.
And I want to tie up a few things that you said before. You mentioned at the very start there was your signature move to, transition from different stuff.
To leave shows. Yeah, I like to leave shows.
Is that actually a thing?
That's kind of my thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I've left 4 shows. Yeah.
And is that because move on to the next thing?
I just get bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get bored.
But also, like, we're talking about famines and stuff. So this is what I find really interesting. Like, there's obviously, a part of you where, there is the famine and all of that stuff. But to still have that, I keep on saying courage because I can't think of a better word, and it probably is. There's still that knowing within you that, you're on a show, it's an established show, and you know that famine's out there, but you still have that belief within you that you'll find something else. So
I mean, I think that's a really positive spin on it. I mean, the other side of that coin is that I am constantly searching for something that I'm never going to like this elusive thing of like, this isn't quite doing it for me. Maybe if I leave and go find something else, that'll be the thing. So, I mean, it both can be true, right? Two things can be true. I don't want to be that person who's always leaving the shows. Like, it's not something I pride myself on, but I have, there are friends of mine who are like, so you're just that girl who leaves the shows, right? And I'm like, well, kind of.
I agree to disagree. And also
Okay.
Some shows don't always continue and there are other aspects, but also I've got so many examples, but also like, I think that's also something within you because maybe it's the Detour, maybe it's another show where you get along well. You probably got a bit of creative freedom, good pay.
Yeah.
And all of that. I still think that, I know you think I'm being generous, there still needs to be something like part of you to be able to go, you know what, I actually think there's something else there. Because when everything's going well, that's sometimes the hardest to make a difficult decision as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, I very much do get antsy, even in the good ones, even in the ones that I love and that are fulfilling me on so many different levels. I still am like, I feel like I need to be somewhere else. I need to go over there. And that's the part of me that's just like, that's the pathology that will never probably get worked out.
Well, I actually think, now that you're doing the writing and you're going to get these movies and these shows and all of that stuff, that will be a way to channel it in a different way as well. Like, onto a new scene or onto a new episode or onto a new...
Yeah, hopefully I won't want to leave my own stuff.
No,
but maybe.
Maybe.
I don't think
and
so.
I'll give one more example because I've never really heard of this. I think with Justified, you asked to leave. And normally people will either be like, F you, or we're not doing it. But they were like, you know what? We're going to, write more for your character. I haven't heard anything like that as well. Or they could be like, sorry, we can't. It doesn't fit into what's going on. They're like, no, we like you. We like your character. We're actually going to add more to it. Can you tell me about that? That's crazy.
Yeah. So I I also, not only am I the queen of leaving shows, but I'm also the queen of getting really short contracts because I'm so petrified of being stuck, obviously. Like, this is like I should talk to a therapist about this. But
Go to
so
the
I
psychic.
try, yeah, no kidding. So I do try and get short contracts if I can, which is really hard. But for Justified, I was able to get a 2-year contract. And as the I mean, I let people know really far in advance when I would like to be let out of a contract. It's not like I'm very responsible. I make sure
Not
that like
one
it
negative thing I
works.
found. Don't worry.
Okay, okay. That's good to know. So I let them know at the beginning of my second year. I was like, "Hey, I think that probably we're gonna part ways." And the reason was that I mean, I loved that show. There were so many things about that show that I remember fondly, and I just loved working in LA. It was so great working where I lived, and the people, and Tim and I are still very good friends. And there were things that were great about that show. There were other things that were a little frustrating, that had to do with, honestly, just I wanted to be. I didn't have a kid at that point. I had a lot of free time. I had a lot of energy, and I wanted to be doing more. And I felt that character didn't quite fit into this world. And I think they wanted her to. They loved her, and they really wanted, to their credit, they really wanted her to be a part of this world, and it was just really hard to figure out ways to make that happen. So I was like, I feel like maybe we're not quite there. I'm happy to come back every once in a while, but I think if I could get let out of my contract so I could go do other things, then we could work it out. It would be great. Everybody would be happy. And they were like, can you do one more year? And I was like, well, fuck yeah, I could do one more year, of course. But then after that, I'm gonna go. And they were like, fine, fine, fine. And a lot of that, I think, is that happened on another show where they were like, oh, you're actually leaving. And I think part of it is because there's so few jobs to be had, and most people would be happy just to be employed. I think that a lot of people don't believe me when I say, okay, guys, I'm going to go in a year. And so I'm going to give you fair warning. You can work it out. And they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then that comes in. I'm like, okay, so I see you haven't written me out. I'm going to go still. And so I think that they were not quite ready for that. And, which is fine. I ended up getting, well, I won't, I don't, that's telling tales out of school. I ended up, they gave me something that I really wanted. So it was everything worked out.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it really helped me with my writing career, and it was great. So
Cool.
yeah, they were fucking great. They were great. They were like family. I mean, that's the longest show I've ever been on. And I came back and I would do, like 2 or 3 episodes a season after that. And it was like, like homecoming. It was really great.
I saw on like IMDb, was there like a movie or a short?
There was a reboot, I guess, kind of. Yeah, and I did the one episode for that. I was in Australia, so it was kind of rough getting there. Yeah.
Gotcha. And also, that also goes back to like the play and the fun aspect, which we spoke about at the start of the podcast, because I've heard so many people talk about on this podcast about other people where you might be in like this massive show and there's like 20 characters and they can't always feed that character. And that character maybe just says yes, or you do it. And then you're like stuck on something, which it might be great people, great, all of that. Nothing against the writing, nothing against any of that. But you're also here to like play and have fun as well.
To work. Play and work. Well, I always said
working, it's the same. Like if you're just going like, do it, like
right. Yeah. I always said that I really would have loved it if the Detour and Justified had been switched in time, because Justified, I had all this free time and I just wanted to be at work. I wanted to be with those guys. I loved those guys. They were like family. And I didn't have a kid, and it like, oh man, it would have been perfect. Whereas the Detour, I was on set 12 hours a day. I was pregnant. I was nursing. I had a toddler. I had a newborn. I was doing sleep training. It was a two-hander essentially. It was me and Jason. And as much as I loved it, and I loved that show, I would love to have been able to do that without the stress and anxiety of like, and I'm a new mom as well. So it was just the timing of it was just kind of fucked. But you know, you get handed what you get handed, and get what you get. And you don't get upset, right?
Well said. I want to tie up one last point that I can see before we do a rapid fire segment.
Oh.
And you spoke about like an ego death, and I think, and you can go as deep as you want. Honestly, you navigate how you want as well. I also heard, and we spoke a little bit about it off air, and you've spoken about it before. It sounds like Australia was quite traumatic, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And it also sounds like afterwards you went through what you coined an ego death. Can you tell me a bit about that? Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Oh God. I think that the people who claim to not have too much of an ego, or to claim that you know, their ego doesn't really rule their lives and the decisions they make, I think are the people whose egos are the most monstrous, and that I think maybe was me. Maybe.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think that I needed to, you know, you kind of have to like, you have to experience some like major fears, like real fears come to life, before you can kind of get out from under this like thing that's always on your shoulder. And I think that that's kind of what happened, is that like, you know, I suffered some pretty significant depression, and you know, with the contraction and the strikes, work just dried up, and you know, this perfect storm that so many of us are still in the middle of, it really, I think it was kind of sink or swim. You had to either just throw your hands up and say fuck it, or you tried to control it and were, you know, sucked down even further into it. So for the sake of my kid and my husband, I really just had to surrender and say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and I don't know. I don't really, I guess, care anymore how I come across to the world, because it kind of doesn't matter. But it's a lot easier said than done.
There'd be a whole journey there. And I wasn't sure if you did this or this was just an offering, but I must get the point out, that you met a lady who offered to do a psychedelic hero journey. Did you?
Oh, I did it. I did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Can you tell me about that and what like shifts and what you noticed?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so simple, and you know, generally these kinds of things are, because we just end up clouding our consciousness with useless stuff we don't need. But the biggest, the most significant sort of macro lesson I got was that I was spending so much time focusing on what I didn't have, and it was really, really clouding my view of the ridiculous abundance of what I do have. And again, it sounds so like saying it out loud, and often like the lessons that are
amazing.
Yeah, often the lessons that are learned during a psychedelic journey, when you say them out loud, you're like, oh, that really sounds like it was on a Hallmark card. But internally, like just internalizing what that really means is rather significant and kind of huge when you're actually applying it like in your body, as opposed to just like intellectualizing and saying, oh, I have all these great things. It's very, very different. And that's why I was able to bridge the gap between intellectualizing, like, wait, but your life is actually really great, why don't you feel like it is, to like dropping in and understanding that like it's because, you know, you have to, it's a holistic process, right? Everything kind of has to connect to it.
Well, sometimes the biggest shifts can seem the most simple, because it can be really simple. So
Yeah,
I know that's like a whole different conversation, but you know, going through that, you would have been forced to look, you don't need a name or label any of these things, to look at some of your shit and, you know, some things that weren't working for you, on top of the psychedelic hero journey, which is such a great name. I've never done it before, but it sounds great. Have you found that you're like more resilient, or you learned something about yourself that you didn't know that's helped you carry yourself moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, part of doing something like that is that it doesn't work unless you are willing to do the work. And I didn't know what that was going into it. I'm like, oh, doing the work. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And I do now. And that is, it's just, doing the work is constantly reminding yourself of, um, again, of like the profound, it also words are really it's really, and they said they were like, oh, after
It's
you
like
do
a
your
feeling. Yeah.
journey you're going to have a really hard time articulating. But just again, I think a lot of it is about the mind body, just the whole, like experiencing everything. We're so disconnected too with the this, and I, that hasn't helped anybody. um so I think that I'm just, it's easier for me again to flip perspectives. Whereas before I would get very stuck in one perspective and just see that this was the truth. And now it's like, oh, there are several different truths, and we can look at all of them, or two of them, or one of them. It doesn't matter. But there's no,
Yeah.
but to not acknowledge that more exists than just this one that you're looking at is like, it's not gonna get you anywhere.
That's amazing. And I agree as well. Sometimes there's like a feeling, it's not so much thoughts because we're so used to, as you said, internalizing like what's going on. But sometimes there aren't actually words or definitions for it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now to tie up that point, do you feel like more like able or capable now that you can like kind of shift perspectives to carry? Obviously, every day is not perfect, but
Yeah, I mean, the further away you get from the journey, the more distant it becomes. Obviously, that feels very obvious. But it- yeah, I mean, it takes more work, it takes more diligence as you get further out from the experience. So yeah, I'm constantly having to remind myself when I get, and yeah, you have bad days, I mean, I still have bad days, but they're much fewer than they were, and I think that it has to be contributed to that experience.
oh, cool. Was there anything else that you did that you want to share? It could be like going for a walk or not using your phone as much. Anything spring to
Mm-mm.
mind?
I mean, I don't. I'm not on social media. I will. So, so I have been told by my team that I have to post pictures of myself every once in a while so people don't think I'm dead.
That's
So,
hilarious.
but getting onto a social media app is very, very difficult. And I've made it that way intentionally. I have a new password every time. It's not on my phone. So I have to go to the app store. I have to download the app.
Smart.
Once I get into the app, it's learned. It's also fucking learned. They ask
Right.
you, they're like, no, they're just like, oh, we know who you are because you've signed in enough times. They ask you, are you sure you want to log out? Are you sure? Well, what are you sure you don't want us to save your stuff? And I say, no, don't save my password because I'm going to change it as
Like
soon
we
as
know where
we're
you
done
live.
here. Yeah, they make it intentionally very difficult. So logging onto a social media platform is very tedious. I do that intentionally.
Nice.
I do it very, very seldom, like maybe once every few months, maybe. I've gone 6 to 8 months in the past.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, I don't fuck with it. And that has been great. It's
That
not for
is,
everybody. I get
yeah,
it. It's been great.
that's
I
amazing.
don't think I'll ever go back.
Oh, okay. Last question, and this might have to be a part two in the future. I
Okay.
hope you still love Australia. Do you still have a?
Oh, it's so unfair that it's
You came
unfair
at the
to,
worst time with
yes, it's
COVID lockdown or
unfair.
winter. That I think if it's the winter, I'm thinking of
It was
brutal. That
the
was one of the
worst.
worst. It was like Game of Thrones winter. It was,
So bad. It was so
yeah.
bad. It's really not fair to Australia because of everything you just mentioned. Um, but I will say, and this is not, I'm not just saying this because we're
I'm
here,
forcing you to.
the kindest people on the planet. And here's why. I'm going to tell you why. Because you guys are on an island and you're so isolated from, because like what we had talked about earlier
Yeah.
about the being isolated time zone wise and being just
Everything upside
oceans,
down compared
nothing
to
but
America.
oceans
Yeah.
upside down and backwards. I think that there is a built-in empathy for people who come, expats and people who come there who aren't used to it. Just the kindness of strangers and friends alike to empathize with how hard it was for me and my family was unlike anything I had experienced before. And I just felt so privileged to be able to feel that collective like warmth and sympathy and kindness. So you guys can do no wrong. I want to get back. We want to get back there under better circumstances so that we can reset. So I think we would love to get back for the open because it's nice and hot.
Ah, cool.
And we have friends there still. Like, you know, my daughter went to school there, and we made great friends with parents, and
Nice.
again, just the best people. So does that answer your question?
Yes, and thanks for reading the script that I gave you as well. I appreciate your
I taped it onto my
yeah.
laptop. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, of course, that there were brutal circumstances.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick rapid fire segment before we go. This will be interesting. Oh, no, maybe. Yeah. What's been your special ingredient to work all these years?
What? Oh, I was going to say cynicism, but I don't like that. Alcohol.
What's your go-to drink?
White wine. I'm really boring. No, nothing Chardonnay, nothing buttery, no like buttery Chardonnay, no oaky, none of that nonsense. Just something crisp, and the more like water it tastes, the better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of these you might not have an answer, so don't stress. Do you have a philosophy? Do you have a philosophy on life you follow?
Oh, I mean, I have on my body, I don't know if it's a philosophy, but it will definitely like stop you in your tracks and like reset you. I got this after my journey. It just says, and then what? Because when you're freaking out, go to that place that you're freaking out about and then ask yourself, okay, and then what? It's almost never that bad. I mean, sometimes it is. Like I can go to crazy, like, you know, I can go there, but usually after the end, then what? It's just like, oh, and then that happened, and I'm gonna go have lunch. It'll be fine.
I love that. That's probably going to plug that everywhere.
Okay.
I'm not going to comment on any of these, so I don't disrupt them. What brings the best creative content out of you?
The first word that comes to mind is collaboration.
Biggest pet peeve?
How much time do you have? You know what my biggest pet peeve is right now? It's like when you call and they're like, due to outrageously long, whatever, like long wait times. Bitch, COVID was 4 years ago. Stop it. Also, those signs, like I want to like do a short about this, about somebody who goes around and like takes down the like mask signs on places, like saying you can't enter here without a mask, or like things like voicemail recordings of like, due to the coronavirus pandemic. It's like, guys, change your voicemail. Like I want to reset the world.
I want to burn these places down. I'll go one step further.
Yeah.
We still have them. Like a lot of buildings, like we're COVID safe. I'm like, I haven't even thought about it. It's like,
don't remind me.
But also, who's going into that building and is not having the conversation we're having that they haven't taken it down? Like that blows my mind.
It blows my mind. Also, like when you get like an automatic email or whatever saying, okay, make sure if you have a temperature, like, yeah, we get it. Okay.
That is a brilliant answer. That's going to be my ringtone. So if you could have any superhero power in the world, what would it be and why?
I don't want people to be afraid or, I don't want people to be afraid. I would make sure that like, that nobody was afraid.
That is a good one. But then challenging on that, I know I said I wouldn't comment, then wouldn't people kill more people and stuff like that?
No, because everybody would have this immense sense of like calm and serenity because they're not always fucking afraid.
I think that's a big one. The world is definitely could be a much better place if we worked in our fears like 1% even better. The world would change, way more abundance.
Yeah,
I agree. What is something that you failed at that at the time it felt devastating, but now almost makes you laugh?
When I was in fifth or sixth grade, we had a junior Olympics at the school, and I was recruited to do the high jump. And I wasn't like all that well versed in how to do that. And I practiced and I wasn't great. And I came home and I was really upset. My dad was like, "What's going on?" And I just lost it. I started crying and I was like, I I don't know what I'm going to do. I am in the Olympics and I don't even know how to do the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And he's like, "You're not in the Olympics." And what I was like, well, there's going to be cameras, there's going to be news crews, the entire world is going to see this, and I don't know what I'm doing. And he was like, "Oh, honey, no." Like he set me straight, and like the weight of the world came off of my shoulders once I realized I wasn't actually in the Olympics.
There's still time. That's
There
great.
isn't. There is not.
Last three. What are you most proud of? Did I ask that one?
Mm-mm. I hate that I'm going to say this because I feel like my career and my sort of creative life is so huge and so much of who I am, and yet the first thing that comes to my mind is my family, my daughter and my husband, and the threesome that we have formed. I don't know that I should take any pride in it because some of it's accidental because they're just great people, but I'm really proud of the life that we have built. How about that?
I think that's amazing. I know like a lot of people also on this podcast go, "Oh, I don't know if I should say." I think that we should normalize it. That's amazing. You've got like unity, harmony, all of that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any advice you want to give to people who want to try something different or new, but perhaps a bit fearful of doing so?
Well, I would tell them to find the superhero me and get rid of the fear, and then they won't even have to deal with that nonsense. They just go and do it. So just find my doppelganger and they'll be fine.
Fears come up so much on this podcast. I've been needing to hear it as well. Look into my fears.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Last question before I ask how people can follow you on Instagram, even if you're not on Instagram. What is the one question I should have asked you?
How I feel about being a Pisces.
Go on. Tell me all. You're
Not
born
a
in the
fan.
wrong,
Not a fan.
the wrong month.
Yeah, I think I was. I don't love it, but here we are.
What would you like to be?
Well, I'm scared of female Leos, scared of them. But
I'm going to look into that. I want to know what that means.
the character, the
Leos.
main character of the television show that I'm currently developing she's for sure a female Leo. So I don't know, maybe secretly I just want to be a Leo.
You want to embrace it. That is any snapshot of what that means. I don't know what a female Leo is.
They're terrifying.
I look forward. You know what? I'm not even going to Google it after we leave. I'm going to just watch your TV show and figure it out that way.
Yeah, do that. Yes, I give it 6 months before we're on the air, and then
Make it 3, and then
well, you have to shoot it.
I reckon you can
relax.
You did Passions. You went super fast. You can. Okay, amazing. Before we go, how can people follow you?
I mean, they're welcome to follow me on Instagram at Natalie Zea, and that's the only place because I will show up every once in a while. I will show up every once in a while when I download that app on my phone and change my password, and I will look through comments sometime.
Okay. Amazing. Yeah. We'll put that in the episode notes. Thank you. You're very uplifting and empowering, and I really enjoyed this chat. And yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
I love Natalie's story of how she wanted to be seen doing comedic roles despite already being successful in other genres and what she did to make it happen. We're often told to pick one thing, to become good at it and stay in our lane. But as we grow, our interests change. And sometimes we have to be brave enough to change lanes too, despite the potential external noise telling us not to. Natalie had a burning desire to do comedy. She had a creative itch she needed to scratch. And instead of just hoping that someone would eventually give her a chance, she made a bold decision. She wasn't going to give anybody a choice, but to see her as a comedic actor. Rather than waiting for the industry to give her permission, she said no to roles that weren't comedy, changed her acting reel to showcase only comedic performances, and began signaling, "This is what I want to do, this is what I'm capable of, and this is where I belong." She didn't make comedy one of her options. She made it her only option. And I think there's something really powerful in this. Sometimes we have a feeling deep within that tells us where we're supposed to go. We might not know exactly how it's going to happen, but when we trust that feeling and commit to it, it can lead to amazing results. Sometimes even better than you ever expected, or at least better than ignoring it. So I'll leave you with this epic quote. Decide what you want and then act as if it's inevitable. Anonymous. Thank you for listening to the Funny and Failure podcast, exploring the deeper side of comedy and life.